In a time when the spoken and written word carried the weight of kingdoms, the prophet Habakkuk sat quietly beneath the soft glow of an oil lamp. The room was still, except for the gentle rustling of papyrus as his hand moved steadily across the page. Each stroke was deliberate, each letter etched with care, for he was inscribing a vision not meant for the faint-hearted. The ink he used was rare, crushed from vibrant green malachite stones, sparkling faintly in the lamplight like fragments of the earth's heart distilled into pigment. This was not merely writing. It was a sacred act, a bridge between the human and the divine. Outside, the marketplace hummed with life, a contrast to the solemn atmosphere within the prophet's chamber. The scents of frankincense mingled with the earthy aroma of freshly ground spices, while traders shouted their wares, their voices weaving into a lively tapestry of sound. The air was thick with anticipation and the constant undercurrent of commerce, where fortunes were made and lost beneath the watchful eyes of merchants and buyers alike. Yet amid this bustle, the prophet's focus remained unshaken, his vision calling him to capture a message that transcended the noise. Not far from this vibrant scene, Babylonian scribes labored with painstaking precision, their fingers tracing celestial charts that sprawled across clay tablets. These were not mere doodles, but meticulous records of the heavens' lines and curves representing stars, planets, and the movements that governed fate itself. The scribes whispered among themselves, aware that the heavens held secrets that only a few could decipher. Nearby, an intricate tapestry hung on a wall, its threads woven to form the image of a lion prowling among stars. This symbol, rich in layered meaning, spoke of strength, judgment, and divine authority, themes that resonated deeply with the prophet's own message. The air was thick with expectancy. Oracles gathered, their faces shadowed, voices low as they unveiled enigmas wrapped in riddles. These were truths not easily grasped, meant for patient hearts and discerning minds. Beyond the city's edge, the silhouette of a fortress loomed, casting long shadows across the hot desert sands. It was a silent sentinel, whispering of impending conflict and the shifting sands of power. The murmurs of distant conversations carried on the wind, fading into the vastness of the sky, as if the very earth held its breath in anticipation. Within this atmosphere, Habakkuk's task felt monumental. To write down the vision was to set a divine promise in motion, a message for all who would dare to watch and wait. The scroll before him was more than parchment. It was a testament to faith amid uncertainty, a beacon in dark times. Every word penned was an invitation to future generations to hold fast and trust, even when the fulfillment seemed slow to arrive. What did it mean to write the vision and make it plain? Was it simply an ancient command, or could it hold a deeper significance for those who wrestle with hope today? As the oil lamp flickered, casting dancing shadows that played across the walls, the prophet's gaze lifted briefly toward the heavens. Above, the stars remained fixed yet mysterious, their silent watch a reminder of the eternal perspective often missing in human worry. The scene was alive with the tension of waiting for answers, for justice, for deliverance. What are you waiting for in your own life? A breakthrough, a sign, a change that seems forever distant. Habakkuk's vision was a call not only to see, but to record, to capture hope boldly so it could guide the weary heart. In this moment, the ancient and the eternal converged. The humble act of writing became an act of defiance against despair, a proclamation that even when the world seems silent, God's plan continues unfolding. The marketplace's lively chorus, the Babylonian stars mapped with care, the lion in the tapestry, all these elements wove together into a scene rich with meaning. The prophet's pen moved with quiet certainty, inscribing a promise that would outlast empires and echo through the ages. So, as the winds stirred the sands beyond the city walls and the fortress awaited its fate under the watchful night, Habakkuk's vision took shape. It was a vision meant not only for his own troubled times, but for anyone who has ever found themselves caught between doubt and faith, between the seen and the unseen. What do you inscribe in your heart when you wait? What vision fuels your journey through uncertainty? This ancient parchment, glowing faintly in the lamplight, invites us to ponder these questions and to find courage in the act of writing, of hoping, of believing. As the vibrant energy of the marketplace settled into the quiet murmurs of evening, the imposing gates of Babylon loomed larger than ever. These gates, made of sturdy cedar and reinforced with bronze, stood like ancient sentinels guarding a city that was both a marvel of human ingenuity and a stage for history's greatest dramas. The heavy wooden panels bore the marks of countless hands, their surfaces smoothed by the passage of time and the weight of many stories, stories of conquest, celebration, and survival. Against a sky slowly darkening to twilight, the gates appeared formidable, a symbol of strength, but also of the fragility inherent in all human empires. Within the city walls, soldiers moved with disciplined precision. Their bronze shields gleamed faintly under the last rays of the sun, polished carefully in rhythmic unison. The clang of metal on metal echoed through the barracks, a steady, almost hypnotic sound that spoke of readiness and resolve. These men were aware that the days ahead would test their limits, yet their faces held a mixture of determination and quiet apprehension. The tension was palpable, like the moment just before a storm breaks, when the air is thick with anticipation and the world seems to hold its breath. Far off, the clash of stones against stone from ongoing sieges punctuated the evening air. The relentless pounding of battering rams and the cries of warriors filtered through the city's labyrinthine streets, a grim reminder that the walls of Babylon were under siege. This was a time of uncertainty, where fortunes could turn on the edge of a sword or the fall of a single brick. Yet amidst the chaos, life persisted. Elder priests gathered in the temple courts, burning offerings of cedar wood, whose sweet aromatic smoke spiraled upward, mingling with the fading light and reaching toward the relentless sun overhead. Their prayers were chants of hope and supplication, a spiritual bulwark against the physical threats closing in. Grain silos within the city brimmed with abundance, their massive stores a lifeline for a population bracing for siege. The scent of fresh grain mingled with the dust and heat, a quiet testimony to the city's preparation and resilience. Water carriers moved steadily through the crowded alleys, their ceramic jars clinking softly in rhythm with their footsteps. Each drop was precious, rationed carefully to sustain the countless souls within the city walls. These everyday sounds, the clink of jars, the shuffle of feet, the murmur of conversation, formed a tapestry of life persevering against the backdrop of impending danger. Golden chariots glided smoothly over cobblestone streets, their wheels catching the last golden rays of sunlight. The men who commanded them wore robes embroidered with symbols of power and authority, their faces set with the solemn responsibility of leadership in trying times. These figures moved like shadows of destiny, their presence a reminder that the fate of empires often rests on the shoulders of a few. The political and military machinations played out beneath the gaze of celestial watchers, for the alignment of planets that evening was no mere coincidence. The heavens themselves seemed to be part of the unfolding drama, their positioning echoing the fingerings of fate. This celestial alignment was not lost on the priests or the scholars. They read the skies like sacred texts, interpreting signs and omens that might reveal the divine will. The planets aligned like the fingers of fate reaching down to touch the earth, a cosmic message intertwined with the city's very survival. This moment between twilight and tension captured the fragile balance between hope and despair, the thin line upon which history often teeters. Amidst all this, a quiet resolve grew, unyielding and steady like the bedrock beneath the city's foundations. It was a resilience born not only from military might or abundant provisions, but from faith, from a trust in something greater than the immediate turmoil. Soldiers, priests, merchants, and ordinary citizens alike shared this unspoken strength, a collective heartbeat pulsing beneath the city's surface. They waited, watched, and prepared, aware that the coming days would challenge them as never before. Yet what did it mean to wait amid such uncertainty? How does one hold on to hope when the walls seem to close in and the future is shrouded in shadows? Babylon, with all its grandeur and power, faced the same question as any person waiting on a promise. The tension between human effort and divine timing played out in every street and every heart. And in this tension, the prophet's vision found new resonance. It was not merely about seeing the future, but enduring the wait, keeping the vision alive even when the path ahead is unclear. As night deepened and the city's lights flickered like distant stars, the sounds of life softened, replaced by the steady rhythm of watchmen's steps and the occasional murmur of prayers. The gates of Babylon, towering and unyielding, stood as both a fortress and a reminder that all human strength has limits. What happens when the walls no longer protect? These questions hung in the air like a challenge, beckoning each listener to consider their own sources of strength. In this moment between twilight and tension, the stage was set not only for the fall of empires, but for the rise of something far greater. The prophet's vision was a beacon shining through the gathering darkness, a call to patience and perseverance. What do you hold on to when everything seems on the brink of collapse? What inner fortress do you build when external walls falter? Babylon's gates may stand tall, but the greatest defense lies in a heart anchored in faith, waiting for the right moment to act. So as the stars took their places overhead and the city braced itself against the night, the story unfolded. A story of kingdoms and kings, of divine sovereignty and human courage, of a vision written long ago yet still speaking to our deepest fears and hopes. The tension was real, the stakes high, but the promise remained that beyond the storm, a new dawn waits. What are you waiting for in your life? How do you stand firm when the world seems ready to fall apart? As the city of Babylon settled into the quiet hush of night, a sundial perched atop a stone pillar caught the pale light of the moon, casting long, stretched shadows across the plaza below. Time, so often taken for granted, became almost tangible here, a silent witness to the unfolding drama between heaven and earth. The shadows lengthened and shortened, as if time itself were breathing, expanding and contracting in rhythm with the heartbeat of the ages. For those who watched, the passage of hours carried a weight beyond mere moments. It was the ticking of eternity, a reminder that every second held the potential to change destiny. Nomads gathered on the surrounding plains, their figures silhouetted against a horizon painted in deep purples, reds and golds, a celestial canvas alive with the promise of prophecy. These wanderers, familiar with the cycles of sun and stars, looked skyward with eyes seasoned by generations of seeking and waiting. Their campfires flickered like tiny beacons in the vast darkness, casting dancing shadows that mingled with the flickering stars overhead. The horizon beckoned, not just as a boundary between earth and sky, but as a symbol of the unknown future, the place where hope and faith meet. Rising majestically nearby, the tiered steps of the ziggurats reached toward the heavens like stone ladders, each layer a testament to human aspiration and divine connection. These ancient structures were more than architectural marvels. They were sacred places where the earthly and the celestial intersected. From their heights, priests and seekers alike would gaze upon the heavens, listening for the whispers of God carried on the wind. The ziggurats stood as symbols of humanity's timeless quest to bridge the gap between the known and the mysterious, the visible and the invisible. Within temple halls, the echo of ancient chanting reverberated, filling the air with a melodic invocation that seemed to weave together past and present. Voices rose and fell in harmonious waves, an offering of sound that transcended time and space. The melodies carried prayers for guidance, deliverance and understanding, invocations that sought to pierce the veil of uncertainty and touch the heart of divine truth. The sacred chant was both a cry and a comfort, a reminder that even in silence and waiting, the spirit remains alive. Sacred relics glinted beneath the watchful gaze of the eternal moon, their surfaces polished by centuries of reverent touch. These artifacts, ornate vessels, carved idols and ancient scrolls, held stories and secrets passed down through generations. To the faithful, they were tangible links to God's presence, symbols of covenant and promise. As the moonlight caressed each relic, they seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light, suggesting that the divine could be glimpsed in the smallest details of the sacred. In chambers adorned with lapis lazuli, deep blue stones that mirrored the night sky, seekers gathered in quiet contemplation. Their faces were etched with the weight of uncertainty, yet their eyes held a flicker of hope. They pondered the vision before them, a future cloaked in mystery, waiting to be unveiled. The lapis walls seemed to absorb their prayers and questions, reflecting back a solemn promise that though the path ahead was unclear, it was not without direction. Here, in these still moments, faith and doubt intertwined like threads in an intricate tapestry. From the shadows, a solitary owl took flight, its silent wings cutting through the cool night air. Against a backdrop of twinkling stars, the owl's silhouette crossed the heavens like a messenger between worlds. In many ancient cultures, owls symbolized wisdom, vigilance, and the ability to see what others could not. Its presence here, in the quiet hours of contemplation, served as a poignant reminder that insight often comes in the stillness, that truth can be found in moments of patient waiting. Time and eternity seemed to weave together seamlessly in this nocturnal tableau. Threads of past and present intertwined, forming a tapestry rich with endless possibilities. The stories of those who had come before mingled with hopes for what was yet to come. Footfalls faded into the past, leaving behind untold stories and lessons etched into the fabric of time. Yet the future remained open, a vast expanse, inviting each soul to step forward with courage and trust. In this silent crescendo, the clock of eternity ticked softly, urging patience and perseverance. The vision that Habakkuk was called to write so many years ago was not confined to a single moment or a specific people. It spoke across time, echoing through the ages to anyone who has ever waited in the shadows of uncertainty. The call was clear, to hold fast to the vision, to write it plainly so that others might see and be encouraged. What does your horizon look like when the future seems veiled? How do you respond when the clock of your life ticks slowly, stretching moments into what feels like endless waiting? The ancient chants, the silent flight of the owl, and the glimmer of sacred relics all whisper an answer: to trust, to watch, and to prepare for the dawn that inevitably follows the night. So, as the moon sailed across the heavens and the stars bore silent witness, the timeless quest continued. It was a journey marked by faith and patience, by the courage to hold on to hope when all seems uncertain. The vision inscribed by the prophet was more than words on a scroll. It was a living promise, a silent crescendo that invites each of us to listen closely and to join in the eternal song of waiting and believing.